What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my page. This is Conrad Marr. If you haven't been here before, I'm an entrepreneur. We're also living nomadically this year. It's 2024. And so far, we've been traveling around. Right now, we're currently in the middle of a work sprint. So I'm going to break down what's been happening so far, and as well as talk about some different topics that I think are going to bring a little bit of value. I'm going to try to keep this just going just because, to be honest, I'm not that comfortable in front of a camera. So it's been a little difficult for me to sit here and really record a lot about what it is that we do, how we do it. I've tried the vlog stuff. I will be continuing to do that, but I'm really looking to bring forward more value. And when I say value, I really am talking to people who are looking to take an entrepreneurial journey. Some lessons I've learned along the way, things that we're currently dealing with, how we also are looking to build, give an inside look as to what we do on a daily basis to help keep things moving. Then also what we do when it feels slow, especially when you're trying to build a business or a brand. Don't get me wrong, I've had a lot of failed attempts and we still continue to fail, but I think the biggest difference is we are choosing not to quit. When it comes down to it, that's been one of the biggest factors with us continuing to be able to move forward and also be able to work with some of the brands that we work with now. So for anybody who's been watching the vlog stuff, I felt like it would be a good idea to break down a little bit about why we're doing what we're doing, because I haven't really had a chance to do that yet. So back in October of 2023, April and I had gone down to Mexico City with some friends because we were going to go watch a concert. And it really just started out as this idea that we had booked because we wanted to go. We had never been to Mexico City. We had heard things about Mexico City that were also good. And it was a large group. In fact, about half of the people that we were on the trip with, we never met before. It was great, it was fun, but get us thinking again about what we had wanted before we started PAINKLLR. And what we were looking for is the ability to travel. We had always toyed around with the idea of being able to move overseas, maybe Spain, maybe London, but I think when we started PAINKLLR, it turned into something that felt like started to drift further and further away. When we started the business, it really felt like we had to be in Los Angeles to make sure that we would be able to watch things run, build it. I mean, every single person that we knew, every single resource that we had was based here in Los Angeles. And as we started to continue building and we got into the event side of the business, we really had no idea about how to detach ourselves from everything that we had started creating in Southern California. But obviously COVID happens. Fast forward now, we're a couple years in, and we've gotten Venice Beach to a place where we believe that we can still have that community base. We've also began to pivot a bit more. We cut out the apparel side with the idea of being able to go back to product at some point. But we did cut out the apparel because of resources, and we wanted to make sure that wherever we were placing our resources were going to be the best use to grow the brand. So it was really a decision about what's going to be best for the brand. Moving forward into October and that trip, when we were down there, we started joking around, really talking about what would it be like if we were to come down here during the slow months, because we started to see a pattern over the time of building the business that November, December, and January were months that we wouldn't be holding events anyways, and everything would be digital. Everything would be done in front of a computer. And if that was the case, could we allow ourselves to take some time where we wouldn't have to be in Los Angeles and we can really go explore places that we had wanted to go explore? Being there in October got us thinking about that. What if we went to Mexico City for a month and worked out of there for a month? And we really looked at a couple of things. One, it's not that far away. It's really a 3-hour flight from Los Angeles, so it's easy. 2, we'd be able to travel with our dog Dozer because that was a big piece that we didn't want to leave behind. He's part of the family. And then also what it would look like if we needed to get back to Los Angeles quickly, just because we do have some parts contractually with partners that we need to be able to execute on sometimes very quickly. When we broke down what it looked like and what we could possibly do, Mexico City actually seemed like a great option. So moving forward to November hits and we know our lease is coming up in January. We've been living in downtown Los Angeles since we first met, and I'd been living in Los Angeles in downtown. before I even met April. So coming to November, we made the decision after looking at the lease and also realizing how often we're in front of a computer versus what we are really doing when it comes to planning the events and when we need to be in places, to let go of the lease. It was a decision for a couple of reasons too. April and I have been talking a little bit more about what it might look like when we're wanting to settle down. Do we want to have kids at some point? What would that look like? Where would we be? Also, what do we want to do for the business? What areas are we feeling like that we're stuck in our lives, and where do we want to continue growing? And after looking at everything, it was, one, this would give us a chance to, in a way, do the things, actually not in a way, it is what we had wanted to do prior to PAINKLLR, being able to move to another place and experience it. Two, be selfish for ourselves and allow us to travel and be in a whole new place and do things the way that we would want to do it, not having to think about pretty much another person. But then also to, it's tackling a fear. For me, I moved from Seattle to LA. That's not that far of a move, but it's still a move. So for anybody that's ever moved from one state to another or one city to another that's further away from their family and also having to just relocate their entire life, even friends, the idea of that can be a little scary. But there's two things that come with this. April is half Salvadorian, so she can speak Spanish. And going to Mexico City, she'd be able to at least pick up on that side. She has a base in that, so that would be a little bit easier for her to manage. That's our dog right there, if you can't tell. He's, like I said, he's traveling with us. He might be moving around in the rest of the video, but I'm gonna go ahead and keep it just because this whole video is about trying to be as real and raw as possible, honest. But when it came to that, I can't speak Spanish. I have no base in it. I can't even speak another language anyways, so that would be the challenge. But also too, we are now in a whole new environment culturally, and also would force us to rethink about what we have access to and how we can continue building the business even if we're not in Los Angeles. So it was more of the idea of challenging how we thought. But come January, we didn't renew the lease and we had our tickets booked. We had our first 3.5 weeks in Mexico City booked at an Airbnb and we went. And so now we are currently March 22nd, so almost 3 months in. And it's been, so far, I mean, I've been enjoying it. The last 2 months, pretty much starting February 1st, it's been pretty hectic though because we've had back-to-back events. So February and March, the last 2 years, if you want to include this one, have been pretty busy. We've been on the road. So going to last year, this was one of those moments that also made us think about it, that we could probably do this because, I mean, we had our place in LA, we had our cars in LA, we had everything in LA, but February and March, we were gone every Thursday until either Sunday or Monday. We would be back for 2 to 3 days. We would have to wash clothes, repack everything, and then we would be back out on the road. And there wasn't a single weekend within that time, except for one, that we were in Los Angeles. The rest of the time we were constantly moving around because we had events as well. And so we knew that we were gonna be running into that exact same thing this year. And so when we ran into that type of schedule, we realized how much we were also spending on travel, on lodging, on rental cars, and it's as if we were living in two places without having the benefit of that. So that was another added plus. This time, instead of us having to get back on, let's say, a Sunday or a Monday, we figured that we would just spend the whole week in the city that we're at. So far we've been in Tampa, we spent a week there. We were in Los Angeles for about a week and a half, went up to Mammoth for a week, then we had to be in Miami for a week, made our way to Vegas for a couple of days, we're back in Los Angeles, and then we're heading up to Mammoth on Sunday for a week. And that's going to be really to do, I mean, kind of what we wanted to do this for. We're gonna be up there, we're gonna be snowboarding, we'll be training, and then we'll just be focusing on work. It's not about kicking it the same way that we were, especially in Los Angeles. And then after that, we'll be making our way to Knoxville for our last event, probably to Austin for a couple of days to go see some friends, Nate and Ramey. And then from Austin, we'll be back in Los Angeles for 3 days to repack everything before heading back down to Mexico City for 3.5 months. So we'll be in Mexico City from April 15th until July 31st. We have no plans to keep this permanent. 2024 is really the year for us to just be nomadic, be selfish, and travel how we would want to travel. But then 2025, we'll be back in Los Angeles and trying to find something a little bit more permanent.